Like a bunch of nothing.
In your own like demiurgic prison.
Yeah. No, so I don't know.
Hello and welcome back to Mystic in the Machine. Sorry we're doing it on Friday. It's been a weird and busy week. But it also seems to have been a super weird week in America. I feel like every week is a weird week in America.
Well,
now.
it's all been culminating with you finishing up your book, hasn't it? Which is why things have been scattered and everything recently.
Yeah, and just stressed out.
And as that's culminating, it just feels like the world is also culminating into
Crazy,
something.
Something's going on.
Something is in the air. Like
the thing is, I'm usually the one who says this, and you say that I'm crazy.
No.
But now you're like, oh yeah.
I've been around the witchcraft long enough to get a sense of these things for myself now.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
And my bones are telling me, like, something ain't right.
Yeah.
We just saw some crazy article or some news story about some like healthcare worker in America getting fired for like twerking on disabled people. And like,
Yep.
I don't really,
Yeah.
like, what's going on, man?
I don't know, man.
It just feels like
don't know.
everybody's kind of lost their marbles and their shit a little bit. And
No, I think people are desperate for attention. I think that's what it is.
You're never going to get it. Trump's in president now. Like, you're not going to get any attention for fucking the next 4 years at least.
Well, like, the thing is, even those who are, like, in the upper echelons, like Trump or Musk, they're also attention whores as well.
Exactly. So
everybody's just desperate for attention. Like,
it's so Trump's so desperate for attention, he literally made his own social media platform. Where basically, he's the only guy there.
just trumping away,
making his announcements, doing his little truths.
Oh, bless him. Yeah, Elon's done the same thing with X.com.
I don't know if we can bless Trump. I feel like, I was pretty skeptical that he would be as bad as like a lot of the kind of Project 2025 rhetoric that was going around in the election. And I thought that was all a little bit like liberal hysteria and whatever, but it's actually been quite insane.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
we saw a clip with Bill O'Reilly, so it's only been 2.5 weeks. It feels like 2.5 months. It's like, yeah, bro.
It feels like 2.5 fucking years.
Well, but I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy how like just how rapid fire all of this shit is going, and like just the direction and the vibe in general, how quickly it shifted again. Like since his inauguration and stuff.
100%. But yeah, like I said, it's all spectacle. I mean, even like today, there's another controversy about Kanye going on a crazy rant, like anti-Semitic rant or whatever. But he's also another attention whore that's like desperate for attention. I don't really see the difference between him and the twerking healthcare worker. It's driven by the same impulse.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a whole kettle of fish in and of himself, isn't he? Let's be honest. Like there was a time where I guess his sort of crazy, like his craziness kind of amounted to just like stepping in front of Taylor Swift at the Grammys or whatever it was, and trying to step up for Beyonce, which everyone was amused at. But I feel like it's gotten to a level now where it's like, bro, just stop it. Like, what are you doing?
Oh my god.
The whole Alex Jones episode.
Yeah.
What, is that about a year ago or a couple of years ago now?
Yeah, a couple of years ago now.
Like, I feel like he is basically in that same place mentally when he was on that Alex Jones show. Because he's saying a lot of the same shit, basically. So I don't know if this is just like a character or just like a personality that takes over Kanye.
I don't want to know. I don't really care. I just think it's abject. I think everything that I'm seeing is just people desperate for attention, which is like really sad. But anyway, moving into the Doge Dystopia, should we show the Chris Cuomo? How do you pronounce his name? Cuomo? Cumin? Cuomo, sorry. Let's show the clip.
Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to News Nation. What's right is right. Everybody wants to see less waste, fraud, and abuse in government. We hear it from every politician asking for power. They just don't deliver. And it should be easy. Estimates of what they call in politics WFA, that's how common it is. It has its own acronym, waste, fraud, and abuse. The estimates are wild. Reports say anywhere from $100 to $500 billion. Another estimate says 5% of all global funding by the federal government is wasted. The OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, just reported that in 2022, the government spent $247 billion in improper payments. What does that mean? Payments made in error, duplicate, or without proper basis. The GAO, the Government Accountability Office, which both sides rely on for government research, has a high alert list of programs and areas that need to be checked. The Department of Defense, Medicare, the prison system, food safety, cybersecurity, they're all there. Major concerns of mismanagement and waste, fraud, and abuse. But I have suspicions about what we're seeing here early on, and increasingly they are justified. Now, that list I just told you, the high alert list that the GAO does, do you know what's not on that priority list? USAID. Why? Well, one, it's relatively small. It's less than 1% of the federal budget. And by the way, its share of the budget has shrunk since Reagan, so it's not like it's rapidly growing. I'm not saying there isn't waste there, and the more you find, the better. I'm on board. And it's got a $44 billion budget, but that's nothing compared to the people on this list. Health and Human Services, $2.4 trillion. Department of Defense, $1.3 trillion. This is in 1 year. AID is not even in the top 10. It's not even close. And guess what? We spend more on federal prisons than we do on foreign aid every year. Think about that. On federal prisons, more than on foreign aid. Think about it. So, again, I can't think of a reason to be against efficiency efforts, but why start with USAID? And I think the answer is about who's looking, and that's Elon Musk. Now, the first reason is, from what I can glean, is it's low fruit. It's easy. USAID isn't attached to a big dog like Lockheed Martin or AT&T or Microsoft, all of whom feed at the government trough way more than USAID.
I think he's right in that very basic kind of surface level mechanical. It is less strings attached in all of these kinds of ways to kind of go over things. But I think generally the reason why that Elon Musk is going after that is because it's easy political points. Yeah. And it's like Twitter fodder.
Yeah, it's perfect Twitter fodder.
It's perfect Twitter fodder.
Because of course they found a bunch of goofy shit that has been I think one of them was comic books about trans people in Guatemala. Just something absurd like that or whatever.
And a lot of money for it as well.
Yeah, lots of money for all of these strange things. So no one's disputing that. There's as he put it, waste, fraud, and abuse. But at the same time, what has alarmed me is how eager people are to see a tech billionaire, go in and do things like push for privatization, push for austerity. That's not a solution to the problem whatsoever.
No, and it's and as he points out, there's way more bigger fish to fry when it comes to things. So, and that's why I think the main incentive for him is because it's perfect Twitter bullshit. Yeah. And bragging rights to all the people that he wants to score political points with, basically.
But that's all politics.
I stuck it to the wokes. I cancelled their stupid programs that are gonna, waste all of this stuff.
But that's all politics is nowadays, is that exact formula, which is really annoying because now I've seen it now on two sides. A couple of years ago, I saw people on the left cheering on things like censorship, cheering on, with the whole January 6th thing, the extrajudicial committee that was set up and did a bunch of shady shit around that, all sorts of things. They were what was it? I think Facebook and Google teamed up with the Democratic Party during Trump's other run. All kinds of weird shit. And now you're seeing the same thing on the right where they're happily sort of celebrating technocracy because they're owning the fucking wokes, basically. So everybody's just sort of being led by their own stupid vendetta against the other side.
It's really petty and
stupid,
which is the main reason why most of these like seemingly powerful people do most of the stuff that they do.
Yeah.
It's like less
to
philosophically
do with,
like guided than like you'd probably imagine. And it's
nothing
way more
to do
petty
with
and like, dumb.
high school bullshit. It's nothing to do with any principles or any kind of like properly reasoned anything. It's just, I'm mad at that lunch table over there or whatever. It's so stupid.
And those companies have had real issues with hacking and cost overruns, which I'll tell you in a second. And then I got suspicious because this MAGA Pod Bros story that broke, of course, on Twitter, falsely claiming that USAID was funding Politico and other outlets with these huge amounts. They never break things that are correct. And sure enough, it wasn't correct. USAID wasn't feeding them in these huge amounts as suggested. So why did they get fed this story, and by whom? Again, I think it points to Elon Musk. And so then we started doing more reporting, and guess what comes out? Did you know that Elon Musk is one of the entities benefiting from USAID? Thousands of Starlink terminals from Musk's satellite internet company provided to Ukraine. We all know the story, right? Didn't you think he gave them all? Turns out he didn't. But it did give access to Musk's advanced internet system to people who needed it. Now, problem with that promise is he said only Ukraine would have access, not Russia. But now there's evidence and allegations that Russians did have access. They're military. So what did USAID do? They opened an investigation into Elon Musk this past September. You didn't know that, did you? USAID paid Politico only 40 grand in U.S. subscriptions in 2023, 2024. You want to end them, fine. The whole entire federal government paid Politico $8 million for subscriptions in 2024. And by the way, a lot of Republicans were on their list of subscribers. But again, you want to get rid of it, fine. Guess how much Musk got from USAID after saying he was donating the terminals? He didn't donate all of them. USAID had to buy over 1,300 of them at $1,500 a piece. And the weird thing is, the terminals retail for $600. Musk made over $2 million in that deal from USAID. Why didn't?
So, like, I really, really hope that people follow up with just that one point alone that he just said. Because that's basically a lot of the figures that he's talking about are within the military and all of these things, and it's the stuff that you hear about all the time. Is that the price of like a toilet on a military base is something like $3.5 grand.
Oh wow!
Versus like £200, and that's not just because it's like special military issue toilet made out of this bomb resistant whatever the fuck. It's like because of the contractors and the amount of middlemen required in the acquisition of anything for the military, the ending cost is far more substantial than what it would be if they were just kind of dealing directly with people or whatever, or however else it would run.
Very true. Very true.
But that's kind of like one example that's really shady, because military spending, I guess, you can kind of argue, you can name your price, and it's just going to be what it's going to be, man. Because
well, if any
I'm the only one providing the service, like a Raytheon or a Lockheed or whatever.
If any of the UFO shit is true, then there's like whole black, there are whole black holes. There's so many more interesting areas to explore where waste is, and I'm not somebody who's against that kind of investigation at all. But yeah, he's doing it for cheap fucking Twitter points.
Well, and his own personal things as well, right? Like as he just said, he's being personally investigated by USAID.
Yeah.
So it's not only just like, it's personal at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's why they're on the top of his shit list.
Yeah, true.
Which again is not really like how you're supposed to be doing things.
No.
If you're running like if you're being the CEO of America and you're trying to run like an efficient company or whatever, it's kind of not to get emotional and like bring your own like petty.
He's a
personal
Cancer.
shit
His
about
astrology, his astrology sign is Cancer, dude. Like he's a fucking wreck. Okay.
I'm just gonna grab a drink.
No problem.
Play more of this.
Press play.
And he donate all of them. Why wasn't it disclosed that he's being investigated in connection with that? And how can it not have something to do with why he picked them first? Shouldn't he have to at least explain if it's a personal beef or something he learned about the agency while dealing with them? If you're not going to go after the big dogs, you're going to go after low fruit that's a fraction of the problem, and you have this problem with them and an obvious conflict of interest? This is why I say Musk should have been vetted. Not because I love process, I love bureaucracy. No, but because you want to make sure you have the right person doing the job. Because why aren't you going after the real alligators in the swamp? It was just announced by a watchdog group that the Department of Defense is going to now pay Lockheed Martin $2 trillion for the F-35 Lightning II program, the fighter jet. It was supposed to be $200 billion.
Well, that's also like interesting as well in the light of a lot of the UFO stuff, as you said, right? Because why, if we've got these alien reproduction vehicles and this stuff that's like anti-gravity tech that is, you know, a million years in the future and all this crazy shit, then why are you gaslighting the government into spending? Well, maybe that's how they fund it, right?
Perhaps.
Is that like, yeah, we need to build a new jet. And actually, yeah, they make this new jet, but like, and that's like a fraction of the cost, but most of that cost actually goes into all of that other crazy shit that they're doing.
I like the way you think.
You know, so it's not even really as black as people think it is.
No.
Like, you are aware you did pay us that much money for this like jet, bro. Like, yeah, some of that wasn't on the jet. Like, sorry to break it to you.
Sorry. But yeah, play it because there's some more interesting weirdness going on.
No, but isn't it? But it's also just like, what's the point in making it if you've got all of this crazy shit?
Yeah.
Like, it is literally just burning money for bullshit.
For the sake of it, yeah.
And
a lot of that does happen, and I'm not against that being dealt with. I just don't think it should be a tech billionaire and some like dodgy third party. And also the people who are in his like weird little Doge crew. He's Chris Como. Sorry.
Chris Como.
Chris Cuomo, sorry, is going to talk about exactly who the types of characters.
It's Chris Cuomo. All right?
Cuomo.
He's a fucking, I think he's a New Yorker, isn't he? He must be.
I have no idea. I'm not like, I can't tell the like the physiognomy of like Americans or whatever.
He's got that kind of like, you know, in your face, like energy from New York, for sure.
I can't decipher it. But yeah, play it. I want people to hear.
Billion in the early 2000s.
You have to switch it to
talk about waste and abuse. Why so much? Why do we need it that much? This watchdog group cited the government's inability to control costs as the reason. So why don't you start there? Last year, the DHS awarded AT&T a $150 million contract for 5G services. But guess what? They get the contract, and then all of a sudden we learn the story that all of their customers' data was stolen in a hack in 2022, including dozens of federal agencies. Why don't you look into that contract? The DoD spends hundreds of millions in IT services for Microsoft. They've been plagued by high-profile hacks by China and Russia on their federal government computer network. Why don't you look into that? Give it to somebody else. They're getting hacked. They're losing our information. They're getting billions and trillions. So I like the mission, but I have questions. You remember that OMB memo that Trump issued that paused trillions in federal grants and financial assistance? And it had to be rescinded? A recent report found that nonprofits and healthcare providers are struggling to maintain their operations because of these freezes. And they help real people who need real help. People with disabilities, the Head Start programs, youth care in hospitals. I know. I'm not saying that Trump means to punish these people. I'm sure he doesn't want these things to happen. But it is what happens when you...
I disagree. Austerity is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Austerity is like one of the primary reasons that all of this is happening in the first place. And the fact that people are cheering on a tech billionaire doing austerity because they think it's going to own the wokes is like, well, it's just like people keep falling prey to the law of opposites.
I don't necessarily think...
It's fucking exhausting to witness and to fucking...
It's not just about owning the wokes, I think. I think it's also sort of seeing how broken a lot of America is.
Yeah.
And being like, why is so much attention focused outwards?
I understand that, but at the same time,
you know, there's so many problems in America.
Of course,
and
but
that
that's all centered around culture war, hot issues, like you said, things that do well on Twitter. When there are a million other more pressing and way more wasteful things that people could be paying attention to. I don't think any of this is genuine. I don't think it's a genuine desire around getting rid of waste and fraud. I think it's just about, like you said in the beginning, scoring cheap political points.
It's scoring cheap political points, but I think like some of you know, when I saw Asmongold kind of react to some of the news about a lot of the Doge stuff, he's like nothing but like rimming Elon basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because he's been in his DMs.
Yeah,
or,
of course. It's a network. We're going to talk about the alternative media later, but it's a network.
Or I think if maybe he is kind of somewhat representative of the kind of broader, less kind of Twitter focused American attitude about it.
Of course not.
Which
he's
is
a fucking streamer that doesn't leave his house.
A lot of people are very much like, why would we send any money to anywhere else in the world?
Yeah,
fuck those people. We want to fix America.
Yeah.
And like I think that is a good chunk. Clearly, Trump is back in power.
But then again,
it's a good chunk of
issue, like I said, hot button issue that people are going to respond to. Even though it's not the major assailant against America's interests right now, there are way more pressing ones. This is only being sort of blown to the proportion that it's being blown to because it's a culture war thing, and culture war red meat sells, and it's exactly what is going to keep the MAGA technocratic base animated enough to keep voting and supporting and like buying fucking Dogecoin or what, buying merch, and Dogecoin,
Trump coin.
Oh God, it's such a fucking tragic state of affairs. Like
it really is.
Literally, I'm sometimes just completely dumbfounded when I think about it.
Asmongold's house looks like a Silent Hill map. I agree, J. George. It does. Or maybe even kind of more like.
Oh my God, he looks like a Silent Hill creature as well. Like it's just.
It looks
all of these streamers literally look like they live in the lower astral realm. Like they literally look like fucking sleep paralysis creatures.
I imagine the downstairs of his house looks like that PT game. It's just kind of dimly lit and there's like creepy shit everywhere. Yeah.
A weird fetus
this is like,
in the sink. Oh God. I didn't know there are so many ghouls and goblins in the alternative media sphere, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's finish
go on. Third time's
the Cummo.
He's just fully given up. He's Chris Cummo now.
He's Chris Cummo now. That's his name.
You go too fast. And you cut too much with someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Musk is a genius. He does amazing things. I had a Tesla. I get SpaceX. I think it's amazing. Starlink is amazing. What they're doing with healthcare.
I don't think there's any need to rim Elon Musk. I think like Tesla were inevitable innovation that were gonna happen. They were just the ones that took it on first, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's kind of not like, but it's in a similar way. It's kind of like the digital camera, right? How Kodak invented the digital camera, and then they were just like, no, we can't produce this. We sell all the film. We can't sell the digital camera. We're gonna eat all of our own business. I think it's not like the car companies own the like gas stations or whatever. But I think it's in that similar way where I think the culture of it, and there's lots of other kind of things surrounding it. Like no one was kind of willing to really take that first step in a massive way, other than maybe like Toyota, because they had the whole hybrid thing to begin with, and stuff. So it's just inevitable. He's not like Edison, like, or someone that actually made any kind of next really even fucking Henry Ford or whatever. It's not someone that actually invented something new. He's kind of someone that did an inevitable iteration on something that was gonna be around anyway.
True.
So I don't know why everyone always praises fucking Tesla, and they have loads of scummy, shitty business practices as well, and their cars really aren't that great.
No.
The whole SpaceX thing, I think, like, it's why is that so good that there is like that instead of having NASA that did like achieve all of these incredible things, that it got like essentially dismantled to the point where it's ineffective and it can't hope to be the organization that does put people on the Mars or whatever. Like it represented, like what that represented was so much more than just like, oh, look at this achievement. It was also the fact that it was an American agency that did that. And I guess like, oh, sure, they're an American company founded by somewhat of an American because he bought his, fucking citizenship or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not really the same thing at all. It doesn't represent the same thing in any way.
Any meaningful way, yeah.
It represents a kind of maybe something to like people that rim capitalism.
That's a lot of people though. Like a lot of people
really...
don't care that we now live in Ancapistan.
But
a lot of people actually are like really, because I remember like I think it was our old podcast or whatever, we were discussing like the dark enlightenment and like the sort of weird libertarian beliefs. And I remember I told you about Nick Land's philosophy and like what Kostas Yavin believes and stuff, and you were like, oh, that's just so gay and stupid or whatever.
I said it was stupid.
And but we're living in it. We're living in it now. It's as stupid and as dumb and as, juvenile as the philosophy is. It's what is driving society. Which is really
there you go.
fucked
Hey
up.
Sid, Elon just got in at the right time to ape all the grants for EVs. Yeah, there you go. There's also another element of it. Like both of those companies also like take tremendous
They're welfare
amounts
queens.
of grants from the government in order for them to even function and work.
They're the biggest DEI fucking welfare queens out there, like 100%.
Cybertrucks aren't necessarily prone to catching fire, but there was that crazy, or not crazy, there was a whistleblower basically that kind of like blew himself up in a Cybertruck. But I don't know if they're very commonly known for catching on fire.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, let's finish this clip.
Sorry, I just hate when people fucking rim Elon Musk.
I know,
and
it's
the
gross.
companies, because it's
but
sort
it's
of
like almost mandatory now in America in the media class, which is another disgusting thing that I'm noticing on social media. They're all terrified of him because they're all terrified of their reach being nuked or having some sort of, less access to the public domain. Let's put it that way.
That's why they're best friends though, isn't it now? Because they both get that kind of fake praise.
Yeah.
For Trump being a successful businessman and for Elon and his amazing
being a
companies.
rocket man, fucking genius or whatever. It's such a hustle.
Is amazing. But who says he's got this way of doing efficiency? We don't know that. And we don't know much about him and his relationships with the government. And it's a mistake. He's got this anonymous group of minions, one of whom was just exposed as having access to our Treasury Department data while also being a fan of eugenics. And
Pause. You hear that, guys? I'm not fucking crazy, okay? I'm not crazy. And that's like the really scary part of this, obviously, is that it is ideologically driven. And the goal is to kind of, automate a lot of the American government systems using AI. And these people believe in eugenics and are making programs, are creating automated systems, are doing all of that under the guise of efficiency. And that should fucking worry you. Like, it should really make you scared. Really scared. Because it's the horrors of the 20th century returning again, but in a more insidious and less easy to pinpoint way. And that's terrifying and serious. Very serious.
Well, it's like, I think a lot of people are kind of questioning whether a lot of the stuff that they're even doing is legal or constitutional and stuff at the moment, right? But then if the judicial system isn't able to respond fast enough to kind of put a stop to a lot of the action that's happening, then isn't it a sort of...
useless. Because this thing about Trump and Elon is that their primary philosophy is might makes right. If I can, I should. If I can, it's what my will is. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's their entire philosophy. And the judicial system, especially in America, is like notoriously slow. And and like, it's been in a paralysis, especially since COVID, because there's been so much buildup and stuff. And ironically, that's what we need. I if you've been in the Discord, you'll know that I've sort of been equating the judicial system to Jupiter, since the god Jupiter rules justice. And that is like the energy that we need right now. We need like strong Jupiter energy, But unfortunately, the judicial system, even though it's like a very good tool to fight against this stuff, is totally paralytic. The only place where I'm seeing hope, though, is in the EU. The EU has successfully been able to push back on things like, data gathering and entrench and encode data protection into law. Things like that. Like, there's a lot of things that can be done legislatively and like legally to hold back this fucking tide. But yeah, people are, it's so slow compared to these Might is Right fucking Nephilim giants stomping around everywhere. It's terrifying. It's so scary. Yeah.
It is, especially sort of just considering how short of a period of time it's been.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, well, this is the sort of stuff that you put in action to sort of get achieved over your whole presidency.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just like bang.
Let's go, boys.
Let's just like run for it right now.
Yeah. Well, this is the plan. It's an accelerationist movement. So yeah, that's kind of the reason why things are being launched full speed ahead. But the eugenics shit should worry you, especially because, like I said, the end goal of this is to automate a bunch of systems using these AI systems. And the thing is, like, the thing about social media and just the general internet we use now, so much of it is black box algorithms. We don't know what's going on. We don't know the metrics that we're being judged by. We don't know any of it, and it's just a nightmare. It's a complete nightmare to think about that being introduced into more sensitive
Don't worry about that, Angie. Just consume product.
Just consume product.
Just consume product or content.
Yeah.
That advertises more product.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh God.
Choose one and stop complaining so much.
I'll do my best.
It feels like
I'll
that's
eat
kind
the
of.
Soylent.
It feels like, but that does feel like the kind of answer in many ways. That's just like the default answer in from the kind of top down of these platforms and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is that people can say, oh, we've seen that you do all this bad stuff. We've seen that you do this stuff with our data and adverts and this and that. We really want to put a stop to that, or like we don't want to participate in that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's how we make money. So it doesn't really matter. Like, we'll try to make it better and less shit for you, but it's going to be there. It's
going to be there. Yeah.
And that's generally just the vibe.
Yep. Amadan says fitting for episode 66. I know, right? These people are like laying the foundations for the fucking beast system, like under everybody's nose, and all anyone can fight about is like fucking culture war bullshit. It's fucking what the fuck.
It would be crazy.
What do we do? What do we do?
America was like, Germany in World War II. That would be pretty crazy. Like, I just went on the last press thingy I saw about it was Trump and the president of Japan like rimming each other.
Yeah, I saw that the fucking president of Japan and Trump just like making out.
Is it literally just going to be like Axis Powers to Electric Boogaloo, but it's America instead of Germany?
No, fuck that. We're trying to move to Japan. Like, what?
That's crazy, bro.
No.
That's crazy.
Oh, God. Well, all the anime propaganda has been, like, preparing us for this very moment, Jake. For this East and West merger. But yeah, I don't know. It's disturbing. It's weird. Let's finish the clip.
It's
got
done.
Like 2 seconds left of it.
Yeah.
Let's just finish it.
Other racist tropes? Who else is he connected to? Look, it's got to be about results and demanding action. I say it here every night. Talk is easy. You got to walk the walk the right way. And I'm going to keep paying attention for you because this is starting off in a way that may be well-intentioned, but it's getting increasingly suspicious. Hey, thanks for watching.
I think that's way too charitable.
Yeah,
to
way
even
too charitable.
Say that like
way
this
too
is
fucking charitable.
Well
but
intentioned.
I get it though. It's because he's trying. The media class is like tied by the balls, and secondly, I think that a lot of Americans are frustrated with the sluggishness of the political process, which is why the sort of Curtis Yarvin style ideology is like appealing to so many people who are passionate capitalists and want to see the bull release, that sort of Wall Street mentality of, you know, laissez-faire, fuck the processes, fuck all the safeguards that like create a civil society.
What's it? Move fast.
Let's just fucking
move fast, break things.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a Silicon Valley
Yeah.
mantra or
Yeah.
whatever of the Elon Musk era?
Yeah, move fast, break things. And then Google got rid of don't be evil. Remember, that was their
Suspicious much?
that was their
Well, I did see a video about them actually the other day that was basically talking about how they've done the same thing with their AI pledge. How their AI pledge had all of this stuff like, we're not going to make weapons, and like anything that would be considered something that could harm other human beings, that would be like not AI research that we want to go ahead with. And then, like, a few days ago, they removed and totally reformatted that website. Just completely delete almost the ethics page of it. And instead they hosted a fireside chat with the, like, goblins that are running that program. And we're just like, well, you know,
fast, break things to the moon, Jake. Don't you understand?
We need to stay on top and be at the apex of like all AI development, basically. And that also means, you know, all the stuff that involves strapping fucking those guns to those weird looking Black Mirror robots.
The Boston Dynamic fucking demons.
So, Google is using AI to like research weapons and stuff, probably for the US government and all sorts of other things. Yeah. So it's pretty great. Yeah, AI drones. There's that guy Palmer Luckey.
Yeah.
Who is makes the case that AI advancing warfare into AI warfare will make it the most safe and humane war has ever been.
I mean, didn't you see what happened in Gaza? That was sort of the testing ground for a lot of this stuff.
Well, I don't know if they were using those kinds of things.
Yeah, they were. Palantir was involved.
What were they doing?
They were using AI drones.
Yeah, but in what way? What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Target. It was to target specific areas or whatever, to calculate where to target or something along those lines.
Because like what Palmer Luckey's trying to sell to the government and to whoever's buying, basically, is that you could know the rough location of a target. You could show it the target, pictures, etc., however many pictures it would need to kind of get like a confident facial recognition, and then it would go and find that target and simply blow up like at its head, so that it kills that one specific target. So if you're like you know, in Afghanistan days when they were like going after Al Qaeda and stuff, and you had all those missiles going in and like bombing all of these like innocent civilians and stuff, there would just be no chance of that happening, basically, because you would be able to send these specialized drones to just go and like
and explode someone's head, like in fucking
basically, and do mini explosions.
Like in a Cronenberg movie. That's insane. That's
what he's selling. That is literally what he envisions.
We literally have like super villains. Like we have sci-fi super villains now. Like, and it's weird I'm saying that because we have our Gendo toy that we bought in Japan.
It's not a toy, it's a figurine.
All right, so
like
I just got the ick in a major way, dude.
It's not a toy, it's a figurine.
I'll show you. Oh, can I get him? Hang on. These are more of Jake's stupid fucking figurines.
Yeah, there you go. At least you used the right words.
It's weird that I've got Gendo staring at me right now. We got this. Where did we get him? In Shinigata?
Yeah, in
Akihabara.
Yeah, in Akihabara.
Akihabara. Here he is. Looking shady AF. But yes, we literally have sci-fi villains running shit now, which is pretty fucking
But I mean that the case that Palmer Luckey makes, right, is that I think that even the Predator drone systems and stuff that are being used at the moment, they are largely autopiloted and largely, you know, targeting is also automatic. So the only function of a human being is to essentially pull the trigger. And this is the kind of discussion and moment, I guess, in which people are deciding whether it's okay to not have a human fully responsible for the final moment or whatever, I guess, right? And that decision would be
automated.
I recognize this as positive target, kablam.
It's a RoboCop scenario.
It's getting close to some sort of RoboCop-like technology, definitely. I feel like in the RoboCop world, they really like punishment, and they like sending people to the ISO cubes. So I don't think that they would but then they're also very callous about life. But I feel like criminals are people that are still, the attempt is still to catch people and to make them suffer.
Yep,
within that universe.
True.
So it would be like that AI drone, but instead of it like blowing up, it would be some sort of like knockout gas or something like that, or like the sick sticks. It would be like that, but just like, it just makes them vomit everywhere and then pass out or something, or shit their pants and pass out, or shit their pants and vomit at the same time.
Oh my God.
They just triple. They just fully triple, and they come in their pants, they shit their pants, and they throw up all at the same time, like a big sneeze.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
and then just like collapse on themselves.
What you're saying is that you want to be one of these.
And then the judges go and pick the person up and have to go and do extraction.
What you're saying is you want to be one of these sci-fi fucking villain overlords that we have now.
I thought you were going to say that I want to triple from the spooky terrorist catching gas.
No, gross. Ew.
I think that there's definitely maybe that's how I need to get AI to help me develop the triple gas. Is how I'll
and then
call
pitch it to Lockheed Martin.
And then no, fuck Lockheed Martin. They're like keeping aliens from us and all this kind of shit. We got to pitch it to Palmer Luckey, all right? And like fucking do some full Philip K. Dick level shit.
That sounds awesome. Let's do it. Well, anyway, moving on to the next subject, which is the fucking alternative media hustle. You mentioned Amadan said, I didn't shit myself at that party. It was AI drone. Oh dear.
It's like, can you imagine, like, instead of the nos that all the kids are doing, they do triple gas. And they take a big breath of this stuff, and it just makes them fucking explode everywhere and pass out, but they're like really tripped out.
Oh no.
That would be hilarious.
No, it'd be terrible. It would be awful. I hate this idea. Anyway, back to the.
It's like Opium Wars version 3. It's just like, no way you're escaping.
Why are we inventing fucking crazy AI weapons that like make people shit themselves?
Because we're talking about humane ways to do war. That's why.
And that's your best idea?
I think so. I think instead of having the AI drone go and blow up someone, because then you're still taking someone's life. If you make the triple gas, then they're just obviously humiliated in front of all of their like badass terrorist mates that's in the room with them at the same time. And then you're gonna go and catch him and then pick him up and probably torture him or do something bad. But like but at least the war bit is way more humane than like bombing civilians and whatever, right?
I agree.
Yes. CIA taking notes, Danny? I hope so. I should hope so.
I hope so.
I got a lot of ideas. Like
somebody come and get Jason, please. God. But anyway, moving on to the next topic, which is the alternative media. You mentioned Asmongold.
Yeah.
Who's like one of the many ghouls, and yeah, it seemed as if
he's not as fun to watch anymore.
Well, that's the thing, is it seemed as if like there was a sort of milieu in a sense of like people who would have considered themselves countercultural. What are you smiling about?
This is what people are quoting in the chat.
What are they saying?
This isn't about shitting yourself. It's about the ethics in AI warfare. Exactly.
Oh my god. What was I saying? Stop distracting me, guys. Jesus. I was saying, yeah, there seemed to be this sort of milieu of, people who would probably consider themselves countercultural in some form or fashion, like a year ago, 2 years ago. But now they're just kind of sucking up to billionaires and politicians, which is really gross. That seems to be what every single thing that calls itself alternative media or like takes a sort of dissident stance ended up totally capitulating to Trump and capitulating to the dialectic of woke versus anti-woke. And I don't think that that's actually anti-establishment or subversive or countercultural in any way. That's just being a normie, because that's like what most people are involved with these days. And yeah, I think that's my kind of number one take on the whole alternative media. Is it's a bunch of people who postured like they were these sort of countercultural voices, but they're really just wanted to like suck billionaire dick and be in the White House and go to the fucking stupid eyes wide shut party thing.
But that's what I think. Even like Elon's fake gaming moment is essentially what even really has, I think, brought Asmongold into that.
Well, how was he even involved in that? Like,
because it was obvious. It was really obvious to anybody watching Elon Musk play the video game that he didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah.
And Asmongold called him out and said about all of this shit. And then Elon Musk messaged, and then he showed that Elon Musk messaged him personally on Twitter and whatever. And
oh my God.
But I've also noticed that basically since Trump won the election, that his whole stream and attitude about everything has been about kind of reinforcing and parroting whatever the government's doing.
Yeah.
And
not just him, Joe Rogan too.
Not being uncritical about it in any way or whatever.
Way.
And I don't know, like, you know, what's up with that?
It's because
it's pretty weird.
It's because it's the vibe shift or whatever. And not just that, Joe Rogan is somebody who similarly postured like he was this sort of outsider, anti-establishment, anti-political kind of dude or whatever. But like now he's basically like Trump state media in a lot of ways. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, of course, the alternative media has always kind of been a controlled opposition, but just seeing how now that Trump is actually in the White House, all the contradictions are being ignored, from, you know, the ones who are angry about vaccines to the ones who are angry about tech overreach. They're all like sort of quiet about all of those things now that he's in office, and are just like sort of being sycophantic, and it's been really disgusting to watch. But you know, even comedians like,
can you pass me the other drink, the non-Jack Daniels drink?
Being a comedian before, again, there was a sort of countercultural credibility that one had to build up. Being a comedian wasn't about like sucking up to billionaires and politicians. Like if you told a comedian like George Carlin, if we were to resurrect him from the dead and show him what's happening now, he would like be running to go back into the grave. Like, you know, why is it that that this being a shill for billionaires and politicians is now the new counterculture?
Because of, I guess, the kind of...
It's because of wokeness and the fact that, like, you know, it's like a swing in the other direction.
It's because of this really strange alchemy of positioning that Trump has managed to make for himself as this sort of original underdog that didn't even have really the Republican Party on his side. And I think actually kind of still doesn't really in lots of ways. And kind of just brings his own people in classic kind of corporate takeover fashion. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Is, you know, as, this new company bought America now, and so now the new boss is coming in, and he's bringing all of his people in. Yeah. And everyone else has just got to fucking make
deal with it,
with whatever's happening until the situation changes again. Yeah. And so that is very much kind of being dealt with in that way, by the looks of things anyway. Yeah. Right. But I think a lot of people are responding more positively to this time round than they did in 2016, because I don't know, he didn't really, I don't think he really had a plan. Yeah. In that same kind of way.
Well, I think also because it's been 4 years or whatever, 8 years or whatever of you know, the excesses of the left in that sense. So obviously people are a lot more animated this time round, because it's been insanity. Like it has been sheer insanity, censorship, social ostracism, opportunism, institutional overreach, all sorts of issues that kind of represent the excesses of the left. So people are a lot more animated now
than they were in
2016, because there's been that sort of
I guess
cultural
I think that kind of like
upheaval,
the energy of like why he was elected as this underdog that was gonna clear out the swamp and get rid of corruption, which is all of the stuff that they're supposedly doing now, right? Through this whole, even the USAID stuff and everything else, right? It's all with the facade of,
and then they're entrenching their own version of corruption. That's the thing, is they're we're getting rid of corruption while we fucking create, automate everything and enforce austerity and fucking do our versions of corruption. It's fucking gross. But yeah, what were you saying? Sorry.
But yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Also, I mean, well,
no, I think basically, it is. I think this is why it's different from the first time around.
Yeah,
is that not only didn't he have a plan, but things are worse now. And I think with the things being worse, it kind of just gives him more of a justification of needing to take radical action or whatever. But then I guess, I don't know, some of it seemingly has worked or whatever when it comes to the whole immigration at the southern border and whatever, activating a emergency and putting the army down there and everything by the numbers seemingly did the trick. Say what you want about it. That one seemingly worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's all just too much. I think people can't really handle too much stuff at once, and it's making everyone's head spin too quickly.
But even then, back to the whole media aspect of it. It's not. People shouldn't look at the alternative media uncritically, because it is a network.
It's just high school in a different fucking realm. It's just high school on the internet, and these are just the media kids now.
Yeah.
And it's really quite cringe.
Very much so, which is why I don't understand why it has so much influence.
And just as much as the Dime Square and Elon Musk and Asmongold and people have their own networks of fucking bullshit. They're spreading fucking whack pseudo race science and whatever the fuck. The left people also have their own weird fucking clicky networks, and they're all melting down and fucking fighting each other and got their fucking...
I mean, part of this has revealed those insidious networks as well. But the thing is, it's the pot calling the kettle black, which is the thing that annoys me about this, is as much as there's networks and shady funding mechanisms and what's it called, dark money on the left, there's also the same thing going on the right now in even more insidious ways. So yeah, it's the kettle calling the pot black. Yes, Amadan, it's literally a false dichotomy. And that's what annoys me so much about this, is because I know so many people because I've been a critic of, the excesses of the left for years. And there've been so many people who are why aren't you animated about this, Angie? Your enemies are getting revenge. I'm no, I'm not stupid. I don't think that way. And if you do, then you're an idiot too. You're stupid and you're an animal. You're literally led by your emotions. You have no ability to regulate yourself enough to think rationally. And I can't fucking talk to you. And I don't want to either.
J. George says wokeness isn't dead, but it's still the religious doctrine of a good part of the academic and art world. Remember when Red Scare were Bernie girlies?
Yeah. I don't think wokeness is dead. It's still religious. And I think that this is going to even further entrench that. And I've already sort of seen it happening. The people who are the same way that the right wing was sort of animated by the excesses of the left to create their own media apparatus, to get their own billionaires to insert themselves in certain institutions. Over the last few, they've been organizing wildly behind the scenes in that sense. I think that this whole kind of technocratic, Trumpian, blah, 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 is going to also animate the worst excesses on the left. And the pendulum just keeps swinging back and forth, and people just keep being led by the nose by this dialectic. And I really wonder if people are eventually going to get fucking tired of it and step back and self-reflect. I was watching a video interview with Mary Louise von Franz yesterday. She was talking about Switzerland and how, because it's such a small country and it's surrounded by very large countries, they can't necessarily afford to have their shadow side explode, which is how she put it, because it would be dangerous. So they were sort of forced to look inward in a way and to address their shadow. And she was sort of saying that depression...
Is that what they did when they hid all that Nazi gold?
Well, they have a shadow, and this is her opinion. But the crux of the what she was saying was that like depression and going through difficult times can actually be a gift from God, because it forces people to reflect inward. And being in a situation where you can't afford to have your shadow explode, where you can't afford to antagonize, does force you to look inward. And I just wish that America could get to that state where it can't afford to go to war or whatever, so that it's forced to actually have to look inward and like face its internal problems, instead of just projecting and being caught between this like crazy dialectic. And I think that this dialectic is one of the biggest issues in American culture right now. And it's preventing people from being able to think rationally. It's preventing people from being able to actually face the problems that are in front of them. Yeah, it's gross. What's being said in the chat?
Danny says the anti-woke crowd became just as obsessive and annoying, hoping we eventually get back to live and let live mentality.
I don't know if it will ever go back. That's the thing. I'm not sure. It will take some deep like psychological work for it to ever kind of go back to a time where people just take a live and let live mentality. I think most people are now out for blood. People are angry. I've never seen people so angry, so impassioned by their hatred for the other side.
I think like they should split America to like let
balkanize America.
Let them live out their ideologies separately. And just let them and see how it goes.
I disagree. One of the other things that Mary Louise von Franz said is that the Swiss argue with each other and they are really fucking mean to each other, but they have certain safeguards that prevent them from going too far. One of the things I do like about America is that people say what they feel, and there is a good thing about the back and forth. I'm not going to completely say that the dialectic is terrible. Like there is something good that comes out of that back and forth, but when there are like guardrails of civility and also legal guardrails in that sense that prevent people from doing exactly what Trump and Elon Musk are doing right now, you know, I think healthy antagonism can sometimes bring out the best in people, and I kind of admire that about the American spirit, that healthy antagonism is something that isn't demonized there, but it can very quickly become unhealthy when there aren't those like so far and no more kind of rules that prevent psychopaths from kind of taking over in that sense.
Amdan says, as an American, I think we are the inverse of the Swiss mentality you described. We're too big to fail, but even bigger.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah.
J. George, I don't think the United States will keep itself together for too long. I think it will be balkanized in 25 years or so.
I don't know.
There's a thing that in Texas last year, now a separatist sentiment in California is growing. That's been growing for a long time.
Yeah,
right?
but I don't know. I don't think Californians are like
I think
have their shit together.
I think lefties have been saying what you've just said since the 70s, bro.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely an idea. Like it's the same. Even there's like there was a similar mentality in the UK for a while with Lexit, right? Which was for London to become its own city-state, completely separate from the rest of the UK, basically. And if we did that, the UK would be fucked.
I think we should just
like being completely fucking honest. Like it would be crazy.
Yeah.
It would like completely cripple the rest of the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
All of the power structure and like money generated and like all of this stuff is fucking in London, man. You even have most of the airports.
True.
That have all the flight connections everywhere.
True. It
would just be like crazy.
True.
It'd be crazy disruption.
But even then, I mean, like there was another thing that von Franz said in the interview. She said that like, you know, she bought her house in Bollington. She has this like cute castle thing in Bollington, and it's obviously like this peasant neighborhood in
with a castle.
It's not a castle. It's like it's a cottage, right. But it has like a facade on the outside. Oh, it's
got one of those fake castle.
It's not like a real castle.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like one of those sort of peasant communities in Switzerland that has had like social bonds and roots for probably thousands of years. And obviously the person who sold her the land wanted to kind of fill her in on what people expect in that community when someone new moves in. And they said, look, we're not always nice to each other. We argue. We fucking hate each other sometimes. He doesn't even speak to his neighbor. But they're civil enough to the fact where if somebody gets stuck in the snow, there's a guarantee that, you know, your neighbor will come and help you. And also they never go too far in terms of how much they antagonize each other. So it's not like they don't have a shadow, or they don't have, like, you know, things that make them disagree with each other, or sometimes even dislike each other to the point of not wanting to be around each other. But there is still that you have to be your brother's keeper mentality, because people in those situations still have to rely on each other for survival when push comes to shove. It's the same thing in Japan. I remember we were watching that documentary about rural Japan. And it was sort of talking about the culture of rural Japan, and it's very much the same. People argue, people fight. There's all sorts of petty drama and bullshit. People get involved in all kinds of nonsense, but there's still that togetherness when there's like a natural disaster, or when there's a birth, or when there's a death, or when someone gets sick. And I feel like that's the answer to America's sickness in that sense, is to restore that sense of, okay, we fight, we have shadows, we may not like each other, but at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
I feel like that's how we're going to end every episode of our podcast from now on, is just realizing there's lessons to be learned from Japan.
Exactly. Big lessons to be learned from Japan, for sure. What else is being said in the chat?
Vivian, I'm not going to try and pronounce that last part of your name. What do you mean with the excesses of the left?
I mean, is it not obvious? Censorship, pushing people out who don't agree with certain cultural things, like gender, for instance. Replacing class analysis with an obsessive and narcissistic kind of compulsion towards identity politics. The list goes on and on and on and on. There are many excesses. There are many reasons why the left has the sort of
even just censoring
bad reputation that it has currently, and why anyone sane looks at it and is like, F that.
I'd say even just the over prioritization of identity politics over economic politics are the excesses of the left.
Yeah.
Because the left existed for working people to like gain benefit for as a united bargaining force.
Well,
basically.
not just that, to be protected from the capitalist class, basically, so that they could have some form of bargaining power against a class that has nothing but profit in mind. And now, the conversation is derailed by all of this other bullshit. And that's the reason why, someone like Trump is attractive and looks more effective and actually is being more effective. It's fucked up. Anything else?
Yeah, I can't imagine a Republican saving a Democrat from drowning or vice versa.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's sad that it's gotten to that point, because, it shouldn't take being in an isolated remote village for you to know that you rely on people.
Do you know what's fucked up? Is that, like,
community.
It's not even a Republican and a Democrat in London. It's just, like, anybody you don't know, basically. And, like, that's kind of some of, I guess, the environment that I've really been aware of since coming back from Japan. It's just like how defensive and like no one cares about you at all in the city. And you could be literally there with your fucking leg chopped off.
Well, even didn't you see the thing in New York of the lady who got set on fire on the train?
Yeah, that's do you know what I mean? There are more and more
and nobody
examples.
Helped.
There are more and more examples of stuff like this, right? Yeah. And I think it's getting worse. Yeah. The trajectory is not going in the other way, and that is a far more kind of tricky thing to kind of pin down than just a single policy, because that is like a general feeling and culture that has just developed in a lot of metropolitan cities generally.
Well, that was another thing that Von Franz, I hate to bring it up, we should just show the clip, but that was another thing Von Franz was talking about. She was talking about rootlessness in the 21st century in this actual clip, and she was talking about how when people are in a place where they don't have any sort of ties, and they're just there to sort of get money, to put their kids through school, to live life. There is no incentive to be your brother's keeper. And it's gotten to the point now where we're all so rootless and atomized. Even in America, you know, when I was living there, most people don't stay in their state. People are, because of economic reasons, people are forced to move all over all the time.
It's not
We're
really
becoming more and more rootless, so there's less of an incentive to give a shit about anything.
It's not. I think there's like maybe everyone's just like, and me included, just like too cynical about shit now. Like if anybody approaches me in the street for anything, I just say no and have my headphones on now. And when you like look at Reddit about how people deal with shit like this in London, everybody says the exact same response.
Yeah, but you're not from here, you know. You're also like somebody who came from the countryside 8 years ago or whatever.
I've now lived here a third of my life. I've lived here more of my life.
But even still,
I lived more of my life here than I have as like a capable semi-sovereign teenager.
Even
right
then,
in my adolescent years, I've lived more of my life as like an adult in London.
Even then, you don't have the kind of social bonds and ties to this city with like 8 to 9 years of your adult life that would create.
10 years.
Yeah, that's not enough.
11 years.
That's not enough. That's not enough to create the kind of deep bonds. Like the sorts of communities Von Franz was talking about are places where people know each other's fucking great grandparents. 10 years somewhere isn't the type of place where you're going to form the sorts of social bonds to create that kind of high trust
Not only
situation.
that, it's the environment within itself.
Yeah.
Right.
But there are enclaves of London where that is the case, where there are people who have lived in, like, Ladbroke Grove, for instance, Hackney, where there are people who have lived there for donkey's years, you know? So it really depends on where you are. And unfortunately, rootlessness is the norm now. It's actually very rare to meet people who belong anywhere and have those sorts of deep ties. So you're less incentivized to give a shit about any of it. And I think that's really what's at the root of the problem when it comes to the fragmentation that we're viewing in a lot of our countries. Here, America, all over the Western world, is the fact that people are displaced. So why shouldn't we fucking tear each other apart over stupid cultural issues? Why shouldn't we hate our neighbors? Why shouldn't we bifurcate into two dialectics that are all about, you know, petty vengeance on the other side? We may as well. If we actually did have those strong bonds, it would be a lot harder for us to demonize each other in the way that we are. And going back to the whole alternative media thing, these people are profiting from that. They know this, and they're actively profiting from this and actively like pushing, you know, the issue and making it worse. And, you know, they have all kinds of digital apparatus now to further fragment us. We're not just fragmented, you know, socially in society. We're also being fragmented into these weird, like, digital chicken pens again. So it's just like fragmentation upon fragmentation. So yeah, I don't know. I've kind of fallen. I don't listen to any of these fucking alternative media people. Maybe once in a while. But with heavy discernment. I have my like discernment hat on because it's controlled opposition. And again, you know, very few people are, you know, willing to hold the tension of opposites, unfortunately.
Very true.
It's sad. What does Amadan say? Sorry, I can't see it.
Queens used to be like that, even though New Yorkers don't know their neighbours. There's kind of I know you, seen you around your whole life, what's wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is sort of something that this is a massive aspect of what we need to recreate moving forward and trying to find ways of doing that. Because I don't think that we're going to survive without it. I think that community is probably, like I said, the judicial system is one way to push back against this technocratic incursion if we're actually able to instrumentalize it well. But also strong social bonds, community, these things help push against the tide of fragmentation. You know, it's important, really important. But anyway, guys, we've rambled enough for you guys this evening. We will be back again next week. on a day. I can't say which day it will be, but we'll be back on a day.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But thank you very much for spending time with us, and keep your eyes out for Depth Diaries as well. It's coming. I promise.